A hazard is a situation that poses a level of threat to life, health, property, or environment. Most hazards are dormant or potential, with only a theoretical risk of harm. However, once a hazard becomes active, it can create an emergency situation. A hazardous situation that has come to pass is called an incident. Hazard and possibility interact together to create risk. Identification of hazard risks is the first step in performing a risk assessment. Modes of a hazard. Hazards are sometimes classified into three modes. Dormant. The situation has the potential to be hazardous, but no people, property, or environment is currently affected by this. For instance, a hillside may be unstable, with the potential for a landslide, but there is nothing below or on the hillside that could be affected. Armed. People, property, or environment are in potential harm's way. Active. A harmful incident involving the hazard has actually occurred. Often this is referred to not as an active hazard, but as an accident, emergency, incident, or disaster. Types of hazard. Hazards are generally labeled as one of 5 types. Physical hazards are conditions or situations that can cause the body physical harm or intense stress. Physical hazards can be both natural and human-made elements. Chemical hazards are substances that can cause harm or damage to the body, property or the environment. Chemical hazards can be both natural or human-made origin. Biological hazards are biological agents that can cause harm to the human body. Some biological agents can be viruses, parasite, bacteria, food, fungi, and foreign toxin. Psychological hazards are created during work-related stress or a stressful environment. Radiation hazards are those which cause harm or damage to the human body by affecting the cell directly. Classifying hazards. By its nature, a hazard involves something that could potentially be harmful to a person's life, health, property, or the environment. One key concept in identifying a hazard is the presence of stored energy that, when released, can cause damage. Stored energy can occur in many forms: chemical, mechanical, thermal, radioactive, electrical, etc. Another class of hazard does not involve release of stored energy, rather it involves the presence of hazardous situations. Examples include confined or limited egress spaces, oxygen-depleted atmospheres, awkward positions, repetitive motions, low-hanging or protruding objects, etc. There are several methods of classifying hazard, but most systems use some variation on the factors of likelihood of the hazard turning into an incident and the seriousness of the incident if it were to occur. A common method is to score both likelihood and seriousness on a numerical scale and multiplying one by the other in order to reach a comparative score. Risk equals hazard or vulnerability or capacity. This score can then be used to identify which hazards may need to be mitigated. A low score on likelihood of occurrence may mean that the hazard is dormant, whereas a high score would indicate that it may be an active hazard. An important component of seriousness if incident occurred is serious to whom? Different populations may be affected differently by accidents. For example, an explosion will have widely differing effects on different populations depending on the distance from the explosion. These effects can range from death from overpressure or shrapnel to inhalation of noxious gases to being exposed to a loud noise. Prioritization of hazards. Hazards can be identified and prioritized using the SMUG model. The SMUG model provides a means for prioritizing hazards based on the risk they present during an emergency. The SMUG model stands for seriousness, manageability, urgency, and growth. References